What up? What up? What up? Fly Free Sports. We back in the building once again. Ben, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Crazy week. Work has been not crazy, just busy and yeah, out the box, man.
It's how we gotta live, man. It's how we gotta live.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for now, I stress that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
man.
got an exit strategy. I don't. I got to keep working.
Yeah, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Something got to give.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm always scheming. But yeah, man, it's been a interesting few weeks. Um,
Hmm.
in the NBA. It's especially the last 2 days has been real crazy. But we'll start and let's just get this out the way real quick. Before we haven't filmed since the last finals game,
Hmm.
so we'll just wrap that up with how did you feel about the overall? Let's just say the totality of the finals.
Um, Pretty uneventful. Pretty chalk. Boston had the best record all year, so it shouldn't surprise anyone that they end up winning the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I did think the inconsistencies from their backcourt would haunt them, but Jalen Brown found himself in the finals, and that was a difference. So
Uh-huh.
that's
So
about it.
how'd you feel about him getting that MVP over Tatum?
Oh, I think he deserved it. He was way, in my opinion, he played way more consistently in the finals than Tatum
Mm-hmm.
did. It may have surprised some people because Tatum is kind of the bigger name in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. He's more of the face of the team, but
Right.
Jalen Brown was the best player on the court for much of the series. So yeah, he just is well deserved.
Yeah. And I asked that because there was people online, because Tatum led in like important categories stat
Hmm.
wise. So people were saying, "Oh, he got robbed," but it's like, nah. You can tell, like, especially in that last game, he kind of tried to go off like late in the game and and try to make a
Hmm.
last push. You could tell, like, it was
Hmm. Yeah.
like if you really were paying attention to the game, you could tell like he was really going hard for that MVP. But by then, like you said, Jalen Brown had been consistent the whole series on both ends too. Like he played well on offense and defense. So
Yeah.
it was kind of hard for them to try to take that away from him. Man, I'm glad
Yeah.
he got it too as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked into who actually does the voting for that, but they almost always get it right. They almost always pick the best player in the series.
Except for
So
Steph,
well,
they gave it the Eagle Dollar for holding LeBron to 37 points a game. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was about, but okay. But yeah, you're right though.
Steph had a lot of dry spells in that series. So I
He
can
did,
kind
but
of
he
see
still
that.
averaged 26 though. Like,
Yeah. I think because he played below expectations, I think that's why Iguodala ended up getting that trophy because Steph played below expectations in that series. But yeah, no, it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
yeah, they robbed my man. He supposed to have two.
Yep.
But yeah, man. I agree though. I agree on all fronts. Dallas just is they're not there. I think that was like the most favorable matchup. Like I said, I think I said that
Mhm,
before on the other show too. That was the most favorable matchup that Boston could have possibly had in the finals.
mhm.
So I wasn't surprised whatsoever. I might have been surprised by how easy it was the first three games, but the series, yeah, I fully expected Boston to pull it out.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
so yeah, that's pretty much it on that. I don't have them like repeating or nothing like that. I think they had the perfect storm, getting there, playing all them injured teams, and they finally
Mhm,
like their first test was in the finals, and
mhm.
you know
Yep.
it just happened to be that favorable matchup. So yeah, but I ain't gonna hate on them. Shout out to them, man. They the champs.
Yeah.
It is
Yep.
what it is.
Congratulations.
Yep. Shout out to the Boston Celtics. I still don't fuck with y'all, but yeah. Uh,
Boston needs to go through a sports drought. They win too frequently. They need to go through like a 20-year sports drought. They're due.
yeah, I agree. I agree. The Bruins are usually real competitive, if not winning championships. I
Mhm,
hate the Red Sox. I'm a Yankees fan, so like
mhm.
I don't like them niggas at all.
Yeah,
The Celtics, yeah, I mean the Celtics were on like a 16-year drought for whatever that was worth though. So
right. Yeah, yeah. But the Patriots have been winning so much intermittently. It's like y'all
yeah,
need to go like 10 years with no like New York. I think New York's in a championship drought right now.
the Patriots are done though. Like that shit is
Oh,
over.
oh yeah, yeah.
They done. They got
Oh
like
yeah, they
another
won.
30 years before they win though.
Yeah, they cooked. It's hilarious. I don't think anybody likes Boston teams other than people who live there.
Yeah, it's impossible. Like how can you?
I have one friend that's a Red Sox fan but he lives in West Virginia. I don't know how that works, but hey, I don't question it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I feel like I feel the same about them like how I feel like for Philly sports teams. I hate the Eagles. I don't care for the Sixers. Like I don't.
Yeah.
It's just nasty work. But yeah, man. On to this. I know you probably have an interesting take on this.
Mhm,
The Lakers went out and made a bold move.
mhm.
Uh Management decided that the man for the job, the man for the head coaching job was one JJ Redick. I know you have the Duke ties. So I'm
Mhm.
very, very interested to hear what you have to say about this. That's your boy. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're gonna defend him. I don't know if you're gonna cook the Lakers. I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know what to expect. So
I
I'm just gonna throw it to you, man.
well, so I'm going to point out a couple obvious things, but I'm go off the beaten path a little bit. The first thing I would say is I saw, was it Fox Sports? One of those outlets, they posted a graphic that said JJ Redick's the entirety of his coaching experience was like a fourth grade volunteer boys basketball coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the new head coach of Lakers. Now, yes, that's shocking. But here's when I really stepped back and look at this, it started to make a lot more sense to me, especially when we see what happened in the draft. And I'm gonna let you cover. I'll let you talk about what the Lakers did in the draft because that's something that we saw coming. But I started to connect some dots. We look at head coaches as being like these iconic figures, these critical roles. They get paid a lot of money, but when you look at, if you consider the NBA as a corporate structure, right? Think
Mm-hmm.
of NBA as like a McDonald's that has 30 stores, right? The Lakers is one of those 30 stores. It's like one of that's the high end. We're one of the high end McDonald's in like the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that analogy, the head coach is equivalent to a shift manager. That's the equivalent role from an organizational perspective.
Right.
Like they don't even run the whole store. They just run one aspect of it, right?
You just reminded me of the shift leader on
Yeah. JJ Redick is the new shift leader, right? So, yeah, millions of dollars. We look at all that stuff, but in terms of what the head coach's pecking order is in organizations, and this goes across the board to all major sports,
mm-hmm.
they're basically a shift leader, which is why you see so many head coaches that want to have the GM role in addition to the head coaching role so that they can have more control over roster decisions, right? I
Right.
think Bill Parcells was quoted as, you want me to cook the food, I need to be able to buy the groceries, right? So so that's understandable. So that helped me to kind of put this in perspective to realize Genie don't really give a damn. Like you just a shift leader. Like the Lakers is like they're valued at $6 billion with a B.
Right.
JJ Redick head coaching is not going to impact their overall worth one iota. They're still gonna sell out every game. They're still gonna sell tons of merch. They're still gonna dominate headlines. It's business as usual. No pun intended, but
I like that. I like that. I like that drop. That was a nice drop right there. I like that.
yeah. So
November
it's
15th.
there you go. November 15th, man. Go out and get it. So for me, this is just um, the Lakers are continuing that LeBron dick riding. This It's so obvious. Like they're not even trying to hide it or mask it or anything anymore. So
Hmm.
we should no one should be surprised. We should stop getting so upset over these decisions because they just replaced their shift leader. That's all this is.
100% agree. I agree 100%. Um, I, you know, I'm always like against the Lakers, so I don't know
Mhm.
if people take my opinion on this particular subject serious, but I actually don't think the move is a bad move. Like when you look at it from a standpoint of how relatable he is to players, and I know he doesn't have the experience, but you can only get experience by getting experience. Like everybody was a first time coach at some point. I think it's just more magnified because it is the Lakers.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think from a standpoint of being, like I said, relatable, building culture, getting the guys to rally. He's respected. You know what I mean in that regard. When you hear people talk about JJ Redick, usually it's in a good light. um, Opponents, teammates, everybody that encountered him in the NBA. So it's always pretty much from that standpoint. We had a whole Duke situation with the girl coming out saying he called her a nigga and all that stuff. So I don't know about his personal life. I have no idea whether that was true or what. I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. But from an NBA standpoint, he's always been in good standing with the players. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad move. And like you said, LeBron is just orchestrating this entire thing. He started the podcast with JJ. They on there talking X's and O's, all good old fashioned basketball talk. And then coincidentally, he's the coach. They threw the Dan Hurley thing out there for a sec. Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. So they threw the Dan Hurley thing out there for a second. That dried up when I guess he turned him down. We don't know if that was a smoke screen. We don't know. Like we're not there. So
Like some kind of weird Rooney rule or something where you have to
yeah,
interview a reputable coach first.
yeah. Because like we knew what they wanted to do last month for real. Like this was already in the works.
Right.
So um, like I said, it's not surprising, and I just think I think he'll be okay. Of course, they don't. I don't think they have the talent to win, but for what he has to work with, I think he'll do all right. So that's pretty much how I feel about it. I don't really have like an in depth, analysis of his philosophies or any of that. So
Yeah. I hadn't heard the reports about the Duke girl coming out with the racial slur. I don't know how long ago that purportedly happened, but I have a
it was,
hard time believing anybody that got called a nigga in 2024 and is not telling anybody to. Now, if it was back in his playing days, maybe, but
I think it was when he was in college. I'm
okay.
think I didn't really fully read the story, but I think it happened when he was in college. I think that's what the girl was saying. So I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The clout, clout chasing is so on such a high these days. Like,
What I will
he
say
does,
is
he seemed like one of those cool white boys, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I could be wrong in that read, but who knows, man?
I just I find it crazy. It's like remember when Chauncey Billups took over the Blazers, and then it was like the story about the DUI or some shit like that came out like as soon as he was named the coach.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all these stories come out about past shit that was completely irrelevant to him getting the job. The
Hmm.
same thing happened to JJ Redick. Well, I'm kind of glad to see it happen to a white boy too, because for a second there, I'm thinking like, yo, every time a nigga get a job,
Right.
like they got to throw
Well, yeah.
salt.
Jason Kidd, same thing years back. Like he had
Yeah,
got
they
hired
did the
as a
same
new
thing
head
to him.
coach, and he had already lost a job years before that
Yeah,
for the incident, and then he got rehired, and they wanted to rehash something that happened 8 years ago. Like,
yeah. It
this
just
makes he's already paid his
right.
debt for that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like every time, it seems like that's becoming like the new thing. Every time a coach gets hired, it's like they got to dig some shit up to. I don't know. It's weird, but
Yeah.
I guess but still, fuck the Lakers. I don't really like y'all. So
Yeah, I think the only other narrative, and I have not been following news cycle very closely on this. When something like this happens, I think there's a narrative that says, "What about all of these great assistant coaches that are out there that have been paying their dues,
Sam
especially
Cassell.
especially the black assistant coaches. Like, why are they not being given these opportunities? But I don't know. I don't know how I would feel if I'm a Sam Cassell. I might feel like that's a blessing in disguise they didn't select me because I can't imagine trying to coach LeBron. That's gotta be like the worst job ever. Like actually trying to
Right.
accomplish something and LeBron disagrees with you. Like you
Especially at
have
this
no
stage.
allies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no allies. If
Le-
you're either with Bronny or against him. You're against LeBron. You're against everybody. So
yeah, that's facts. He's 40 years old. At this stage, it's like damn near impossible. He's running the show. Like whatever he say right now is gonna go. So
yep.
that is a horrible job. And I'm glad, like I said last show, I'm glad Dan Hurley turned the shit down and
Hmm.
did the right thing. I just, I don't think it's just I hate it, man. Like the Lakers just dominate news cycle, like you said. It's like that shit is come on, man. I can't wait till LeBron James retire. I've been waiting.
He
I
might
might throw a
not ever
party.
retire. He might still be playing 10 years from now. No, nobody knows.
I might throw a party when that nigga retire. I ain't gonna lie. Like we're gonna have a LeBron retirement party at the crib.
Man,
A whole kickback.
yeah.
But
Another show we need to speculate like what he
yeah,
will actually
man.
do when he retires. But
It's craziness. On to the draft. Now we're gonna get the obvious shit out the way first before we even get into the real draft. We're gonna get
mm.
the entertainment part of this shit out the way.
Yep.
Uh with the 55th pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Lakers take Bronny James out of USC. Who's surprised?
Nobody.
Um there was a report earlier in the day that Rich Paul, who was LeBron's right hand man and Bronny's agent, Clutch Sports and all that, Rich Paul called around to all the teams and threatened them niggas and said, if you draft Bronny, he is going to Australia. This is real. Like, this really happened. Like
God damn. Wow.
this really happened. Like them niggas is really like they the mob of the NBA. Like this is not a game. This is not a drill. This is real.
Man.
Um, it's nuts, man. I never seen this much pull from a nigga in my life in the NBA. I've never seen it. So I got to give LeBron a shout out for that. Like you got way more power than I even thought you had, and I know you had some power.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, damn. So they take Bronny. They become the first father son duo to ever play together in the NBA. And what I will say is people won't expect me to say this, but LeBron James did what any other father would do.
Hmm.
We all like if you're a father, you want the best for your kids. Like if I'm in that position, I can't say if I'm in that same position as LeBron, I wouldn't do the same thing. I'd be lying. Like
Hmm.
if my son is coming up and he's worked and this is his dream, who doesn't want to make their kids' dreams come true?
Yeah.
Now, I don't particularly like LeBron, like everybody know that, but I can salute that as a man, as a father. Nepotism is real. Um, I salute it, man. It's like how can you hate on a man helping his son achieve his dream like that? That would be foolish of me to do so.
Yeah.
Now, how I feel about Bronny, I'll get into that after I get your take on the whole thing.
Like you said, telegraphed. I hadn't heard the Rich Paul report. That is hilarious. Um, this is, and I did when I gave my really wild out the box prediction at the start of the season. I did predict that Bronny would end up on the Lakers. I was for the memes. I said that they were going to draft him number one overall. I obviously wasn't serious about that, but he outwound up on the team. When you talk about second round draft picks in the NBA, none of those players are going to be players that you're going to expect to come in and like make an immediate impact, right? These are going to be role players,
Developmental.
D league players. These are players that are trying to work their way into a job. So
Mhm.
if you're already the egomaniac LeBron James, there's absolutely no reason why you don't take your own son, because what do any of those other players have to offer in terms of
Right.
helping the Lakers win that Bronny doesn't have? Um, and so yeah, that's, and also for as far as the nepotism thing, you know, the anti-nepotism is a new concept. Like, we shouldn't forget that the whole world ran off of nepotism for thousands of years.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
let's not pretend like powerful people don't don't do this.
Right.
This is part of the process.
Like we said again, the white folks do it all the time, man. They hand down what they like, what they have to their kids. They're affluent. They have the means to do so, so they do it. Like it's just it's normal.
Yeah, like, if you are a white person named Walton in Arkansas, it doesn't matter what your business acumen is, right? You own the entire state,
Right. You could
so
do whatever the hell you want to do.
you do whatever you want. So what? Who cares? Like, because because you were fortunate enough to have a pioneer genius of a father in Sam Walton, and you're reaping the benefits of it. So this is how these structures work. I think it's off-putting for us to see one player have this much control over an organization.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, that's black excellence, man. I
That's what I
mean, what
said.
who has done in any sport? There's only a handful of people you could even imagine that have been able to have this much control over an organization like that. Like, it's a very short list.
Right.
You got your Michael Jordan, right? Obviously from an NBA standpoint. Um, to a degree, Magic Johnson, although I think that was more of a oligopoly or oligarchy between him and Buss and Riley in the
Mm-hmm.
80s. Um, you could argue in football that, I think Pat Mahomes might be approaching that level of influence on his
Mm-hmm.
team. Certainly, you have, like,
Brady.
Brady. Certainly, again, oligarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But even players like Montana didn't have that level of pull.
No.
Marino didn't even have that level
No.
of pull.
If he did, then
Um,
he would have got more niggas in there with him.
right, exactly. Um, I think Elway was closer. I think he had a significant amount, but not as much as Brady.
No. No.
Not-
No.
so and then the hockey, there's probably some examples you could give there. Baseball, I can't immediately think of anybody that had this much control over a team. I mean, A Rod probably came close, but really that's just from they were just paying him so much fucking money.
Right.
So yeah, so this is rare for someone who's actually on the court dribbling the ball to have this much power. Um, and so, hey, hats off to him, man. Because as much as we want to shit on LeBron for what he's doing, you just said if any of us had the opportunity to do it, we will all do it too.
Yep.
like,
So like, who am I
so
to sit here and say I
yeah,
wouldn't do it? Like, it's just
yeah. Don't hate the player, hate the game, hate the
right.
Lakers for allowing LeBron to control them like that. But don't hate LeBron for it. He's just
Right.
doing what egomaniacs do.
See, that's why you niggas could never say I'm not objective. Like, I can't stand LeBron James. I hate his fucking guts. Like, I don't like that nigga whatsoever. But how can I hate on it? There's just no way I could say, like, oh, he just in the NBA because it's his son. Well, fucking duh.
what
Like, I
are we
mean,
talking about here?
like, come on, man. But how I feel about Bronny as a player, now I'll get into that now. That's a completely different thing altogether. I
Mhm.
don't think he's a good basketball player at all. I just don't. I don't think, will he develop into a serviceable NBA player one day? Perhaps. It could happen. Depending on, you just never know how any of these players are going to go in the draft. Like you just never know. You never know what they're going to develop into, and he's no different. The difference is that he averaged 4 points, and somebody like a guy I'm going to talk about that got drafted by these guys was the national player of the year 2 years in a row. So obviously, when you look at those two guys, one definitely you expect more out of, and you expect certain things. But Bronny is, I mean, it's just the typical. I don't even know what to call him. Like, what is he, a combo guard, or he's definitely not a point guard. He's
He's
small. He's like a combo guard, but he's 6'1".
yeah,
Only
he's
combo guard I ever known that was 6'1" that was elite was Allen Iverson.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, combo guard, I think is generous. I think he's just an undersized shooting guard.
damn.
We only call him combo because he's small. If he was 6'5", you
Yeah,
wouldn't call him a combo guard.
and that's true. That's the truth. Yeah. So I mean, um, obviously he's very athletic. Very athletic. He has the long wingspan, so maybe those two things will help him, overcome the height. Uh Decent shot, decent mechanics. He's a pretty good defender on the college level. We'll see how that translates to actually guarding grown men.
Hmm.
Uh Overall, like a C player, like a C grade player, man. Like
Hmm.
nothing really to write home about. I'm curious to see how his brother will turn out in the future. We'll see how that goes. He has the actual size. I think he'll have the man body once he gets to the NBA.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think Bronny will spend a little time in the G League here and there this year, further developing them. They'd be smart to do that. Um, they can call him up whenever they want. So, as long as he's with LeBron, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. He has the best job security in America right
Yeah.
now. Like he ain't going nowhere.
The longest leash. There has never
Yeah,
been a longer leash.
man. This nigga has the best job security I ever seen in my life. So y'all niggas cancel all the he getting cut and all.
Nope,
Never.
not a chance. Not a
Never.
chance.
So yeah, that's just how I feel about him as a player, though. And like you said, LeBron, he's the owner. LeBron is the owner of the Lakers right now.
Mhm.
Until further notice, LeBron is the owner. He signs the checks. You know, it's LeBron's world, man. They
Mhm.
all just living in it.
Yep.
Jeannie Buss is his assistant right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. You said it all, man.
Yeah. So but on to the real draft. Like there was an actual draft that took place.
Yeah. Yes, that thing that happened yesterday.
Right. There was a draft that took place aside from
Mhm.
this. It's crazy. It's the first day two I've ever seen that's been more hype than the fucking day one. Like,
Right.
but yeah, Zachary Ricochet went number one to Atlanta. I don't really have any feelings about that. I didn't follow his game too closely, so I don't really know what to expect out of him. I know he's a long wing, like he's like a wing player. He can
Mhm.
shoot. He can create just a little bit. He's not like super creative with the ball in his hands.
Mhm.
Another one of those guys that's like they got to grow into their body.
Yeah.
Uh, so we'll see. I don't know. I just don't trust an organization like the Hawks making the first pick in the draft. Maybe that's just me, but I'm sure a lot of Hawks fans may agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever on him. Alex Sarr went number two. Reed Shepard went number three out of Kentucky. Stephon Castle, my boy out of UConn, four to the Spurs. Ronald
Mhm.
Highland the second, five to the Pistons. Uh Saloon, I don't even know how you pronounce this nigga's name. He went to the Charlotte Hornets. My
Mhm.
boy Donovan Kling, another UConn boy. Portland at number seven. My boy Rob Dillingham. This is crazy. We're gonna talk about this. Rob Dillingham got drafted eighth by the Spurs, but he left. Um,
Mhm.
Zach Edey, Grizz Nation. What up? Number nine. And then Cody Williams got drafted 10th. So that was the
Mhm.
top 10 picks. What really, really stood out in those top 10 picks, aside from I'm gonna get into all the Memphis shit, because you know what it
Of
is.
course. Of course.
What really stood out was Rob Dillingham getting drafted by the Spurs and then traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
That's wild.
Timberwolves, the Timberwolves is the one team as a Grizzlies fan that's making me nervous right now.
Mhm.
When you got because they struggled on offense. That was like their Achilles heel this year. They were great defensively, but they had these games where they went on droughts. and they
Mhm.
couldn't score the ball consistently. Anthony Edwards was pretty much the only guy in that starting lineup that could create his own shot. Now, with them having Rob Dillingham, and then later in the draft, they also added Terrence Shannon Jr.
Mhm.
These are two of the best offensive college players in college basketball. Like, hands down, we got the creator with Rob Dillingham. He'll fucking shake you out your shoes. Easy buckets. Like, he makes it look so pretty. Rob
Mhm.
Dillingham is a show unto himself. So seeing him play with Anthony Edwards is wild to me. I know
Yeah.
he probably won't start because he's not a natural point guard. Now
Mhm.
he's like a real combo guard, but he's
Right.
short, but he's a real combo guard
Mhm.
though.
Mhm.
Um, Terrence Shannon Jr., like I said, a very explosive athlete, very consistent, one of the best scorers in the nation. Led his team to the what was it, the Elite Eight when UConn beat him.
Mhm.
But Terrence Shannon Jr. is a baller. I'm glad he overcame his the girl through the false allegations, the false rape allegations on him. He beat that. Y'all can read about that on Google. We won't get into
Mhm.
all that, but
Mhm.
he beat that. Um, so yeah, the Timberwolves are loaded up, man. I don't know what niggas is gonna do with the Timberwolves once these guys start developing, man. Like, that is scary. That's a lot of offensive talent on one team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Speed still kills. And they just got a lot of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you when you look at what they needed to add to that team, I think that they did about almost as good a job as any team in terms of understanding what their holes were and filled them really well. Yeah. Now, all the flowers and respect in the world of Mike Conley. He's one of these journeyman point guards that kind of gets overlooked.
hmm
Um, I think in terms of his career and his how people see him, I think that he gets treated a lot like the way that Andre Miller got treated
Yes, he does.
when he was
Very
playing.
good comparison.
Because he's just this
Steady.
is this is a great basketball player, right? He's going to come in and he's going to have an immediate impact on your team.
hmm
Um, he's going to anchor your offense and be the floor general. Um, and he just doesn't get enough credit for the impact and the value that he brings because he's not super flashy. He's not going to drop 50 on you,
Right.
but he's going to anchor your offense and he's somebody you can trust him with the ball. And
Right.
that's perhaps the best quality a point guard can have is that they're trustworthy with the ball.
Yep.
So, all the flowers to Mike Conley. I think he will continue to be the starter at least next year, but I think his
hmm
days are numbered. so,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say congrats to a wonderful career ahead of time, Mike. But
Yeah,
I
man.
still love you, man.
Shout out to Mike Conley, man. Mike Conley, like you said, a consummate professional, man, veteran, always gonna come in and do his job. And gave you the fun fact before, like, this nigga
Mhm.
doesn't have one technical foul in his career. That is so
Yeah,
hard to believe.
it's very
So
Joe Dumars
yeah,
esque of him.
shout out. Yeah, we froze up a little bit.
Your audio's back, your video's lagging still, but
We back. We back.
yeah, yeah, you good. You good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we back.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was, but yeah, like I said, the Timberwolves are gonna be dangerous, man. That shit is scary. But yeah, on to the most important thing.
Yeah, we see it, man. We see it.
We back, man. We back. 12 back. Dez is back. My boy Brandon Clark is back. The whole gang is back. Triple J, even though we on. I'm working with you, Triple J. I'm working with you, and hopefully in your new role, you won't have to slide over to the 5 no more. You can flourish and play your game.
Mhm,
Gigi Jackson, don't forget Gigi, man. Gigi Jackson is a Gigi Jackson was actually supposed to be in this draft, but he reclassed. He was
mhm,
the youngest player in the NBA last year, and he was looking like a monster, man. Like,
mhm.
I don't want people to let that go over their head. GG Jackson is gonna be a fucking beast in the NBA. Vince Williams, another one. We just got a squad. Luke Kennard, shooter.
Mhm.
Uh, and the man of the hour. We filled the biggest need that we had, and I could not be more happy. Zach Edey is the newest member of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mhm.
That screen and roll with him in 12 is about to be crazy. I
Mhm.
cannot wait to watch it. We got a guy who's going to get rebounds at an elite level. We got a guy that's going to take up space, that's going to rim protect. You know,
Mhm.
we already got Jaren Jackson. Like for all the shit I talk about Jaren Jackson, he's a good defender. Like he won Defensive Player of the year before last. And like defensively, we're looking good. Marcus Smart is still there and will probably
Mhm.
start.
Mhm.
We locked and loaded, man. And we
Yep.
drafted my boy Cam Spencer out of UConn today. Another shooter if we need him.
Mhm.
Jalen Wells, we drafted him today, another shooter. So we loaded up on shooters today,
Mhm.
and we got our big man yesterday. So this draft couldn't have been better for us. I'm so proud of Zach Kleiman for getting this thing right. We didn't have to give up anything. I know there was talks about us potentially trading up to the sixth pick as the draft was going on to get Donovan Clingan. Now I wouldn't have been opposed to that either because, as you know, I'm a UConn fan and I love Donovan Clingan. He has the size as well.
Mhm.
But for us to not have to give up anything and still get the National Player of the Year,
Yep.
I'm all for it, and it's a perfect fit. So I cannot wait. I wish the season started next week. I'm so fucking excited to watch this. Like I cannot wait. And for all y'all niggas out there that slept on us and was disrespectful to us this year, nigga, we coming. Like we here.
Yeah.
What Dion said, we coming. Let
Yeah,
it
I
be
think
known.
this is a can't miss, in my opinion. Um, Big white boys from the Big Ten, Midwest, like that's that's can't miss, man. Like
Man.
just it is because he is exactly what we have discussed in terms of what their biggest needs were, having
Mm-hmm.
that low post dominance.
Yep.
And he's going to be able to fill those shoes um very easily. Um, I don't see any downside whatsoever with this decision. Um, I think that now you've got these pieces. I'll be interested to see. I'll be interested to see whether the front office of the Grizzlies, whether their expectations are rising to the level that yours are. Right. If I was in the front office, I certainly would expect great things from this team. Obviously, not winning the championship the first year necessarily. I'm maybe not
Right.
that high, but
I'm
you've
expecting it.
got you've got a lot of pieces now. And my fear, and I'm just going to throw the prediction out now,
Mm-hmm.
is that I think that unfortunately having all these pieces is only going to further expose limitations of the head coach
Oh man.
because it's he's struggling with rotations with the pieces he has now. So you add more firepower, it's only going to further expose your inability to manage rotations effectively. So we'll see, we'll see. Um, but we've also discussed that that's maybe the biggest weakness on your team is
Yes.
the coaching.
Yes.
Um, so we'll see.
Very good point, man. I mean, I don't even really need to restate how I feel about Taylor Jenkins, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that, man. Hopefully, it doesn't further expose him.
Mhm.
But man, having a 7'4" guy with a 7'10" wingspan and like this shit is so perfect for especially for Ja Morant. This is going to
Mhm.
benefit him so much because we know how well he played out of the pick and roll with Steven Adams. And Zach
Mhm.
Edey's an even bigger guy who's an
Right.
equally as good screen setter. So,
Mhm.
but he has the added dimension of scoring, which Steven Adams didn't have.
Mhm. Yep.
So this is a whole new dynamic, and I'm beyond excited about this. I just think like in free agency hasn't even happened yet, so we don't even know what other moves the Grizzlies are going to make.
Mhm.
And I
They're
think
running out of roster spots.
I think if nothing else, we're gonna be very, very good defensively. Like this, we're gonna be very, very good. We have 2 defensive players of the year from the last like 3 years, 3 or 4 years, with Marcus
Yeah.
Smart and Jaren Jackson. Desmond Bain is a pretty good defender, and then you got Zach Edey anchor in the middle. It's like, man, this is it's turning into something special. Hopefully, it the production matches what we have on paper because it looks special right now. Like I said, Brandon Clark coming back off the bench, we're able to match up with different teams and different
Mhm.
rotations. You know, teams like Minnesota, Denver, guys
Mhm.
that that have teams that have length. We can
Mhm.
throw Edie out there. You know, all the other teams. We got the rotation with Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson. So yeah, it just
Yeah.
gave us so much more options having Zach Edey in the fold,
Mhm.
and
Yeah. I
it's gonna be
think
special.
what you're seeing, at least in the Western Conference, I think you're seeing this resurgence of you can't win without a big man,
Hmm.
like we saw in the '80s, right? The '80s was like you're not even considered a contender unless you got a big man in the post that can make stops, right?
Yep.
That was the formula. So much so that the old school heads, you remember European basketball, they were so afraid of American big men dominating. They had trapezoid instead of a rectangle for the paint for
Right.
years to try to neutralize how dominant big men were in that time frame. And
Hmm.
obviously they've since adjusted it, but that was around the time that it became more guard dominant. And Michael Jordan's watching this. He'll tell all of us you're welcome for that, by the way.
Right.
But, but yeah, I think what you're seeing, you think about all of the contenders, they've got a significant post presence, and
Hmm.
I think that's going to be a trend that's going to continue, that we're going to see continue. You're going to see people start loading up and like, all right, but who's in the middle? Like, okay, you got an all world point guard, but who's your big man in the middle is going to lock the post down. I think
Right.
we're going to start to see an arms race as it relates to that, and I think big men are going to become more beloved and have more attention thrown at them again.
Yeah. And yeah, I made quick mention of Donovan Clingan. He's on the Blazers now too. So looks like they're gonna start building, around him and Scoot Henderson. We'll see how Scoot does in his second year if he performs better. But yeah, like you said, a lot of teams are gearing up at that center position.
Yep.
I know Wemby's not a center, but he's another guy with length and
Hmm.
is able to do a lot of different things in the paint. So um yeah, it's just especially that West. The West is turning into like a bloodbath. Like only the real niggas are surviving in the West at this point. Like,
Yeah. 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 It's becoming lopsided from a top talent standpoint. Um, and and that really showed, I think, this year, and from a talent standpoint.
hmm
Um, so like you said, I think it'll be interesting to see moving forward, whether there's going to be a response to that, you know, in the Eastern Conference, because that's where a lot of your, those teams generally are kind of smaller and
yeah,
more guard dominated. Embiid is the obvious exception there, but generally speaking, that's kind of the formula that the East has been using is more guard predicated.
yep,
So
yeah. Every good center is in the West outside of Embiid. You got Demonis
mhm,
Sabonis, Jokic,
mhm.
even a sorry nigga like DeAndre Ayton. He a classic center, but he's in the
Yeah.
West.
Yeah, it's crazy how someone who has made as many strides and as good as Demontis Sabonis is, that he's just gets eclipsed in terms of just the number of great big men that are out there. And it's not
Yep.
even that he's far behind them.
Right. He's a
It's just
beast.
like you're a big fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
Right? He's a beast, like you said.
Yeah. He like a
But
top 5 center in the NBA, hands
yeah,
down.
yeah, and he's completely under the radar because the Jokic's and the Rudy Gobert's of the world and the Cats of the world, they're kind of getting all the media attention, and he's
Which
just
is crazy because Rudy Gobert is not even on the level of Demonis Sabonis whatsoever. Like he's not even close to that level.
I don't even have a word. It's like it's funny because I want to say that he's super overrated, but it's not like he sucks. He's not terrible, but he doesn't. What he offers the team is not equal to the amount of hype that he gets or the amount of money that he's paid. You know,
Yeah.
he is a great defensive center, but he is effectively Ben Wallace. And you know how I feel about Ben. I love Ben Wallace and just what he represents and what he meant to that Pistons team. But he should Gobert should be getting the level of hype and attention that Ben Wallace got. He does not deserve the level of hype that he's getting.
Yeah. And Ben Wallace is a Hall of Famer. Like
Right.
Rudy Gobert better not make the Hall of Fame. And he probably will. You know what's crazy? He probably will. He got like 4 defensive player of the years, don't he?
Yeah, he's getting in. He's
That's
getting in.
wild. Rudy Gobert, a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, he's getting in.
That
It
is
reminds me
crazy.
a lot of like it's almost like the Mark Eden effect all over again. And actually I heard Charles Barkley talk about this. Like, Mark Eden got all these defensive player of the year trophies, and he was a great shot blocker, but that's pretty much all that he was. Great
Mhm.
rim protection, which obviously is important in the 80s, right?
Right.
But like when you look at how he was defensively, he wasn't really a great like defender. He was a great shot blocker. So, and it's been a lot of centers like that. Even Shaq will tell you that he wasn't a great individual defender.
He wasn't.
He was again great rim protector, and I don't know a single NBA player more dominant offensively than Shaquille O'Neal. So I mean, he
Yeah.
more than made up for it on the offensive side. So
Where Shaq said, I make them when they count.
he's so full of shit constantly. Oh my god!
Yeah,
But
that nigga talking
anyway,
about egotistical. That nigga right there. He can't go 5 seconds without talking about himself on inside the NBA.
Shaq
How many rings
stopped.
you got, Chuck?
Shaq stopped growing emotionally at 13.
Yep.
So anytime anybody wonders why Shaq acts that way, just imagine that that's a 13-year-old boy in a 50-year-old man's body, and that will
That's true.
that will tell you everything you need to know about Shaquille O'Neal.
Exactly how he act too.
Yep.
How many rings you got, Chuck?
Like, damn, man, why is
Every
why
show.
is every I don't know. And see, the thing is, like, Chuck has had some bad takes,
Shit,
but
has he? Oh,
Chuck, Chuck has had some bad takes, but first of all, Charles Barkley is one of my favorite basketball players ever. I owned his jersey at one time. Um, and I think that when the good takes that he has, I don't think that he will get enough credit for the good takes that he's had because he always gets dwarfed by, well, he can't talk. He's from Alabama. People think he's down on.
no, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant.
He's dude. That leaves Alabama is thick up in there, man. But
The game of basketball. Nigga,
man, you know
sit
what?
your
If you want to
country
break
ass
the
down.
internet, this is what you do if you want to break the internet. You get Charles Barkley, Kendrick Perkins, and Shannon Sharp to do a podcast.
Oh my god.
You literally would need a translator.
Oh my god. Kendrick Perkins is the fucking worst, man.
Oh man, how does he have a job?
That nigga
ESPN was
sucks.
making budget cuts. How did he survive?
He sucks. Like he can't even speak well. They got this nigga on ESPN full time. He can't even speak. Like
Yeah,
insanity.
at this point, give me Magic. Like Magic now, Magic's grammar is terrible, but he's articulate. He just is ebonic, but he's an articulate ebonic, right? Yes, we all were there when he said when he throwed the ball. Everybody was there when that
Throwed the
happened.
ball.
When he throwed, not throwed, throwed.
He throw he throwed the
Oh,
ball.
oh, that's right. You were really small. You may not have been watching. This was like early 90s, like after he retired, and then he was doing commentary for a while in the early 90s.
He
He
throwed the
said,
ball.
throw the I'm like, come on, Magic. Come on,
That's
man.
almost like Emmitt Smith when he corrals the ball carrier. Them niggas fire him off ESPN so fast. I'm like, nah, this ain't gonna work. You
Oh
gotta
man.
hit the brakes, buddy.
Yeah,
That
CTE is
nigga Emmitt
real.
Smith was horrible as an analyst. Like, damn, where this nigga from?
He was hilarious in those Just for Men commercials, though. Oh, he was great on those. But
Yo,
yeah. I don't
But
know. The quick detour about Emmitt Smith. Like, I think that he's like the Joe Dumars of the Cowboys. Like, I think now you could tell me if you don't agree. I feel like he's one of those guys that even people who hated the Cowboys, I think people had a lot of respect for Emmitt Smith and liked Emmitt Smith, even if they hated the team. That's my take. I don't know if you feel the same way or not. Like, I know people who hate the Cowboys, they fucking hate Troy Aikman and they fucking hate Michael Irvin. But I feel like Emmitt Smith isn't hated by Cowboys haters as much as those other two. I might be wrong. You tell me if I'm wrong.
fuck
As
it.
a person, as a person.
It's hard for me to differentiate, man. When you're a cowboy, like you're scum of the earth. Like it's so
Jason
hard for
Witten.
me.
Jason Witten.
Hell no, I hate Jason Witten. Hell, that was worse.
Okay,
You
all
know how
right.
many
I'm gonna
times this
stop.
nigga killed us on last minute drives
I'm
and
talking. Okay, I made the Joe Dumars comparison that this is a very respectable human being, even if you hate the
oh no, I
team.
can't I can't see past it. I'm sorry.
All right, okay, all right. I'm
I
asking the
can't.
wrong person.
You know how niggas can't separate R. Kelly from the demon? Like it's the same thing with these niggas. Like
All
they might as well be indulging in bullshit activities as far as I'm concerned. Like I
I
don't
was
I don't fuck with the Cowboys
I
at
was
all.
gonna say, says the guy that said he was gonna have R. Kelly play at his wedding. But to your defense, that
I
was
know.
before we knew about the allegations. So
Nah, I fuck with I still listen. Hey, yeah, y'all might cancel me or whatever. I don't give a damn. I still listen to R. Kelly music. Like I grew up on it. Like it's hard to turn that off, man. Like now, will I let them around my kids? Hell no. But
right.
that's that's normal. I ain't letting no fucking man. But yeah, that's a whole nother story. Uh,
All right, back to basketball. We went down two separate rabbit holes on that.
keep the content rolling, baby.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
go. But yeah, back to the draft. I forgot, almost forgot. I got to give shout out to all my guys. First, Stefan Castle. I'm gonna do it in order. Stefan Castle, Donovan Clingan, Tristan Newton, and Cam Spencer, the champions. Four of them drafted in the draft. Connecticut shit. We outside. You know how it go. We're gonna have more next year. It's a pipeline. Pause. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's a pipeline.
It's not a pause, man. That
Pipe.
pipeline's a
When niggas
commitment.
hear pipe, it's like cold words. You gotta understand these niggas. You don't understand these niggas the way I do. Like, what you say? Nah, what you say? Nah. Gotta let them know. Yeah. But yeah,
Hey
man.
yo, hey yo.
Yeah. Yep. Quick too.
Oh man.
But yeah, shout out to my UConn guys, man. And I think Stefan Castle is gonna be a beast playing with Wemby. Like that's another
Yeah.
slept on thing right now. He went forward to the Spurs and they had Dillingham. I don't know why. Like I don't understand why they traded him to the Timberwolves, but
What'd they
like
get for him?
I think like some picks or some shit. Like I don't even. It
Mm,
wasn't a player or anything. It was some
right.
unprotected picks probably or some protected picks. But yeah, I just didn't understand that, man, because that was a trio right there. Like I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. I want to go back to UConn for a minute because a thought just entered my mind. Gino Oriema and Hurley have an opportunity here. Y'all really need to get these players to marry each other and have babies and just keep the dynasty
Keep,
going
I like that
for
idea.
50 years.
I
Just
got to
keep
send
pumping
this
them
to
out.
them.
Because both of them will still be coaching in 20 years. Gino is not ever going to stop. He'll be 100 years old and he'll still be over there coaching.
That's crazy because ain't he like in his 70s right now? Like
He's old. But that's the thing. Like, none of these coaches, it doesn't seem like they're as old as they are,
nah,
right?
it don't. It don't.
Because Coach K was what, 80 when he retired?
That's
70 something?
crazy.
Like, they just go. And make it another tangential reference, you know, Joe Pa would probably still be coaching
Yeah.
today.
If them allegations and all that, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Because once he couldn't coach football, he was dead within a year. Because
Yep.
that's what he lived for. That was what's keeping him alive. But
Right. Damn, I like that shit. Gino, I'm gonna holler at Gino and Dan Hurley, man. Like Paige Beckers and Donovan Clingan should have been, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
should have been getting that going.
You got to figure out with the injured reserve. She got to pregnancy is kind of it's kind of a detriment to your career when you're a female
True, true.
athlete. But you got to work. You can work it out. You work it out.
It's a sacrifice. You just sacrifice your rookie year in the WNBA. You be all
There
right.
you go.
Start
Yep.
your second year. But
Yep.
yeah, I like that though. Have UConn babies and shit like.
Yep.
And it don't matter. The best thing about that, it don't matter if it's a boy or a girl. Like
Yeah.
both programs is popping. It don't even matter. Like
Right. Yep.
so,
Yep.
yeah. What other notes we got from the draft? What else we got? Jared McCain, your boy from Duke, man. He went to the 76ers. I think that's a good move too.
Yeah.
I think that's a real good move for the Sixers. They need another scorer, another steady hand to go with Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt. So that's a real underrated move. Who else? What's notable?
Well, I think what you're doing now is testament to what I was going to say about this, which is we don't we this draft really didn't have like a consensus generational talent in it,
Mm-hmm.
like in Wemby's draft.
Or next
Uh,
year.
yeah, because I don't know what name you were about to say, but everybody on my timeline is just waiting for Cooper Flag to go
Yeah, that's
quickly
it.
the fuck off.
That's
Nigga Duke.
exactly who I was thinking about. He's going first. Like that's hands down. It don't even matter. Like
Yeah,
he's going first.
like I just like it's not. And see the Cooper Flag on the Duke is why that's why people hate Duke. Like,
Yeah.
damn, man, you got to get everybody all the time. You
Me in
always got to
particular.
get the best high school player all the time.
Me in particular, because it came down like his last two choices were UConn and Duke. And I remember the day he made the decision to go to Duke, I was fucking sick, man. Like, damn. Like, why would you
Yeah.
do that? Like, why, man? We
But
winning
that's the thing. Like,
championships over here.
I've not been following college basketball closely, but I know his name just because of the people that I know basketball have been talking about him. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's the next one that everybody's like, okay, what's going to happen with this guy?
Yeah,
So
he's a dog, man. Like, my God.
yeah, so yeah, it's exciting time. You know, the NBA is getting younger somehow. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know how that works, but so much young talent coming into the NBA. You know, I wish like Bron would retire so we could officially pass the flag to one of these young niggas instead of talking
Man.
about the same guys all the time.
Yes.
You know, we have worn, and I love most of these players, but we have completely worn out the narrative of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Kevin
we've worn
Durant,
that Kevin Durant, like um all of the irrelevant guys that play for the Clippers. Like we've
Russell. What? Yep. Yep.
we've
Yep.
worn we've worn it out. Like their names have circulating with us for too long. And I was actually happy that Anthony Edwards was really starting to kind of get some attention because
Mm-hmm.
it's deserved. Like we need these young faces. We need the Jalen Brunsons of the world. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Jason Tatum, even though I think he's a little slightly overrated, we still need young guys to get some shine. Let's move the narrative over to these guys and
Right.
stop talking about everybody that's 35 and over.
Yep.
We got it's
I
time
agree.
to shift.
I
And
agree.
hopefully Boston winning this year will help to enable that shift. Because let's be honest, when the Nuggets won it last year, as great as Jokic is, we know that the NBA media isn't going to embrace an international player
Mm-hmm.
of his caliber like that. I think that um, Luca is probably the closest we're going to see to something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
just like we were talking about WNBA, WNBA wants a black lesbian to be the face of their league. The NBA
Fact.
wants a young black guy, preferably from the hood, to be the face of their league. That's how these things go. And so I'm happy that the younger guys are starting to get some shine.
Right, because that's the market. Young black dude
Yeah.
from the hood, like niggas. Why? Like we grew up watching basketball. Like this is our
Mhm.
shit. This is our culture. Like
Right.
they know where the money comes from. Like these are the people that's gonna be buying the tickets and where all the revenue is gonna come from. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, rich white people live near golf courses. The hood niggas live by the basketball court. Like that's
Yep,
our country club. You know what I'm saying? That's the center of our culture.
that's how this goes. Yep, facts. Um, I know you mentioned Jalen Brunson, so I don't want to forget this. The Knicks are looking amazing right now.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw yesterday they traded for Mikal Bridges
Hmm. Yeah.
and they re-signed OG Ananobi. So like these niggas, like the Nova Knicks is real with
Hmm.
Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo. Like them Nova Knicks, the Nova
Hmm.
Knicks are looking very dangerous. They got OG, like I said.
Hmm.
They,
Yeah.
they'll probably I don't know if they're gonna move Randall, but they should
Yeah.
move Randall.
It's time.
They have to. There's only one ball. Like who that he's not
Right.
he shouldn't get any shots. With that group on the floor, where do his shots come from?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's sign and trade time, or they got to make a move there.
Definitely have to. There's one ball.
Yeah. It's gonna come down to, are you going to are the Knicks gonna hitch their wagon to Jalen Brunson or not? That's what it's gonna come down to.
They have to.
And whether they move Randall or not will tell us if they're really going to hitch their wagon to Jalen Brunson and ride. Because that's, and to me, like you said, it's obvious. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. It's,
He has lived up to any expectations you would have had and then some.
man.
Um, so
How many 40-point games did this nigga have in the playoffs just now? Like I
all of
don't even
all of them, all of them. He had all of them. He had all of them.
like what else can a man do to get that type of he has the keys for sure. Like there's no
Yep.
doubt about it. Julius Randle definitely has to go. You cannot get shots over Mikal Bridges. You cannot get shots over Jalen Brunson. I don't even want you taking shots before OG Ananobi, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. Like, and then they paying this nigga like what I think it was like 212, like 212 million.
it's a lot.
OG has to have the ball in his hands. Like
Yeah. OG
Julius
is
Randle got to
that
go.
he's that X factor where it's like, okay, you got to decide that you're really going to invest and watch his development as he moves forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like that Chet Holmgren type where it's like, okay, we see the potential here. You haven't fully unleashed it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You got to decide if you're going to invest in it and ride with it and go with it.
Yep.
I think that his play style fits extremely well within their offense. And like you said, the guys you named, their play style, they mesh, right? Those pieces match.
Yep.
And so, and I think you've got a great head coach. Again, he's basically the shift leader, but you got a hell of a shift leader there that's really instilling that defensive philosophy
And these are
and
all good defensive players aside
right,
from Brunson, but the rest of them niggas lock up. They got straps. So you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah. So you got to decide what you want to do. And I know that you know, Knicks fans are almost as obnoxious as Cowboys fans when it comes to just how, and they're not as delusional about their teams. They actually haven't won anything in a long
right.
time. But people always say the Knicks should be relevant. And well, Stephen A. Smith is one of the biggest ones. Is like the NBA is better when the Knicks are relevant. Man, shut the fuck up. Like, what are we doing right now? What are we talking about?
Like I don't have a problem with the Knicks, so I guess I don't mind it because I don't really have a problem with them.
My problem is not with the Knicks. We need to stop acting like in 2024 that Madison Square Garden is this tremendous place to play. Like
It's the
it's a
Mecca.
dump, man.
They call
It's
it
a
the Mecca.
dump. I get the nostalgia and what it was in the 70s and the 80s. Like I understand the history. But damn, man, like this,
They ain't gonna like you for that. They ain't gonna like you for
man,
that.
you got to and I get it, Manhattan, it's a tight, you don't have a whole lot of room to
Hmm.
like do stuff. But damn, man, like yeah, you got to move on. This, I think what isn't it the oldest stadium in the NBA now? It's got to be close.
It's
The
damn
oldest.
sure one of them. It probably. I'm pretty sure it is. Like
I can't
It's like
imagine.
the Lambeau Field of the
Yeah,
NBA.
like there's a new Boston Garden. Chicago's in a newer place. Like I can't think of any team that plays in a place anywhere near the age of Madison Square Garden. And it's like, but I get that the build,
It's
and
the
it's weird.
aura.
Their ownership
Aura.
is like the building and the land is part of the team, and
I never been to. It's crazy. That's one of the places I've never been to before.
I've never been either, but the people that are close to me that I know that have been there and played there, it's like, dude, it's a dump. It's like it's not, and you don't even look nice on TV.
No, it
like,
don't. It don't.
like
It
I
don't.
don't want to go play there. Why would I want to watch a game in there?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
why would like Alexis, who has no my daughter, who she's 9 years old, has no concept of this history. If you told her we was walking into that building and she was like, "Why are we going to this nasty place?" Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Like
that'll
when
let
she
you know
walks
everything
into
you
the
need to know.
Jaguar Stadium, like it's a decent, it's nice looking, like it's a nice place. She's not gonna want to walk in there and watch a game.
Madison Square Garden. When the last time they renovate? Do they renovate that place? I don't know.
I have no idea. I just know that the ownership, the ownership, the team ownership is part of the building, and which is part of the land. They've got this weird thing where the team ownership is integrated with the building, and it's I don't understand it fully. I just know that it's complicated.
And it's crazy that the Nets play at the Barclays Center. I don't know how new the Barclays is, but I know it's better than
Was
the
it's got to
Garden.
be newer than the Garden because the team just moved to Brooklyn 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, like, I don't know if the actual arena was there beforehand or if that was
Oh,
like
I
some
don't
shit
I
they
have
built for the team. I don't know
yeah,
the history behind it. So
that I don't know. I would imagine they would have had to build it because they were playing in New Jersey prior to that. So yeah, I would
yeah,
imagine there wouldn't have been a comparable arena that they would have been able to move to. Plus, I know that.
yeah,
Well, I
you
mean,
right.
it's named after a bank, so I know they had funding for it.
Right. And who the hell you right? Because who the hell is going to Brooklyn for any type of event like before that happened? Before
Right.
the Nets actually went there. So yeah,
Right. Not for basketball. Now, baseball is a different story, but yeah, not for basketball.
yeah. So yeah, man. I had to bring that up about the Knicks. It's been so much like that's been happening over the last couple days. I didn't want to forget nothing.
Mhm.
It's just the NBA is gonna be super entertaining this year to watch. Like I cannot wait to watch. It's so many moving parts.
Mhm.
It's just crazy right now. Most notably, like I said, I want to see what we gonna do. Like fuck everybody else for real. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anyone in the East is gonna provide is gonna give Boston a serious threat to Boston. Closest I think is the Knicks right now, especially all the moves that you said.
I'm not gonna
Uh,
hold you though. I got the Knicks coming out the East. Like if we were to ask me right now,
yeah.
and that's my pick coming out the East. I think they got the wings to actually compete with the Celtics.
Mhm.
Like that,
Yeah,
I like that matchup for them.
yeah. I think the Celtics have just proven us wrong so many times in this playoffs. And granted, they were playing against teams that were handicapped by injury, so you do have to factor that in. But I mean, they won like 126 games in the regular season. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like like Ric Flair said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And so
Absolutely.
um
I give
I'm
them their
I'm
respect.
not
I give them their respect.
yeah, so I don't at this point I can't definitively say that anybody is poised to beat them until they beat them. You know. Now you get to the playoffs, we'll see what happens. I do think the Knicks are the closest to dethroning them out of all the teams in the East.
Mhm.
But this is why we play the games, man. So
Yeah, and you got to factor in possible injuries. We don't know what health is going to look like with all these
mhm,
teams. So you saw what happened to the Knicks in this playoff. Like them
right.
niggas went down one by one. So
Hmm. Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, the NBA, man, it's a great time to be a fan of the NBA.
Hmm. Hmm.
Aside from the officiating, um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The
it's it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I think we're in a talent crisis for NBA officiating right now.
Yeah,
Well,
I might have to put my
LeBron
name.
basically well, that's one of that's how one of the ways that LeBron has changed the NBA is that he's basically made it impossible to call traveling.
Oh
Like,
my
it just
god.
doesn't get called anymore. It's like it doesn't even exist in the rule book anymore.
6 steps. Just go ahead. Fuck it. Man,
Yeah,
everybody else doing it.
yeah,
Yeah, a double step back. That nigga James Harden responsible for that shit. Nigga do a double step back.
Like you're standing right there. How do you not? Okay, whatever.
Even that remember that game winner Luca hit on Rudy Gobert in the playoffs. That nigga traveled so crazy on that shot. Like, yo, y'all really just let that shit ride. I
Yeah,
guess
he
just
was.
fuck it. Like, but what
You
I
know,
don't like though is when people like call out certain players for it. Like everybody don't do it. I saw a
yeah,
compilation video they did on Ja Morant, like with carrying. Like all these
mm,
niggas carry and travel. So you can't. I'm not
right.
about to let y'all single my nigga out when everybody doing it. Like that, we not doing that shit at all.
Well, see now for me, carrying was always a dumb rule to me personally. Like that doesn't that I just don't agree that should. I just don't think I think that's a dumb rule. I just do. Like the positioning of your hand on the ball isn't to me isn't relevant. Traveling to me makes more sense because you're supposed to have to dribble to go from one place to the next, and
Right.
traveling allows you to break that rule and to break the dribbling rule. But
Right.
just how your hand is positioned on the ball as you're moving, to me, that's dumb. I don't. That doesn't make sense to me. But
Yeah, that's like real. That's a real that you got to be really be paying it. Like who's paying attention to how their hand is on? Like you're subconsciously doing it.
yeah, I just that the nuance of hand positioning, I think, is not really. It doesn't give you an advantage over a defensive player like traveling does. So,
Yeah, that traveling shit is at a
if
whole
anything, it
different
makes you
level.
more of a liability to defensive player because of how the ball is exposed when you're carrying it. But
And then the
whatever.
carry, they only call it certain time. Like it has to be super egregious. I know
Right.
Jordan Poole had one that was so crazy. Like I think it was either last year or the year before. It was this last year on the Warriors. So 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was crazy. This nigga turned his whole body around with the ball. Like
Right.
I said,
Right.
yo, they gotta call that. Like I'm not really in favor of them calling carries like too crazy like that. But that particular one, nah, nigga. We
Right.
not letting that rock.
Listen, you talking about Jordan shoot from the floor pool? Is that what we talking about right now?
That nigga, like, I'll be surprised if he's still in the NBA next year, the way he played this year.
It's just I don't. Mental health is real, Justin. Like, like just like we get him some better help. Like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that nigga's cooked. He's cooked for sure. I mean, I'm glad he got his ring, he got his money, so he probably don't give a fuck. He seemed like one of them type of niggas where he don't even care. Like, I got my bread, got my ring, I got my memories. Like, I could live the
Man,
rest of my life rich.
why would anybody that plays for that team give a fuck about anything? The team that clearly doesn't give a fuck. So
Yeah. I told them niggas last night, I said, Alex Sarr, he got drafted by the Wizards. And them highlights you saw on his tape while he was getting drafted, that's the last time you're ever going to see him play.
that's
Oh, you
hilarious.
won't. Yeah, that it's a wrap, bro. Like you're never gonna see him play. It's over with.
Yeah,
So
man. I
yeah,
don't know.
but eventful couple days in a very like undermanned draft. So
Hmm.
it's been
Yep.
good to see the moves going down to kind of help the draft be more entertaining.
Hmm. Good.
That's another dope ass stream tonight, man. As
Amen.
always, we kill it, man. We kill it.
Yep. Show.
Like, share, subscribe, all the above. Tell somebody who knows somebody that knows somebody else, man. Fly Free Sports, and we signing off again. Yes, sir.